Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming to our Fidelity Bank breakfast. My name is Melissa Paraff. I'm the president of the Neshoba Valley Chamber, and I'm actually going to turn it over to the chairman of our board, Jim Adams from Willstone Bank and Trust.
Thank you, Melissa. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I think this is the biggest crowd you've ever had for a Fidelity breakfast. I think it might have something to do with the studio. I think some of us think that there's an audition today. I was talking to Jim Panat a couple minutes ago. I said, Jim, you'd be like a good bouncer. I mean, so if you're looking for that type of role, I think you're all set. So, but welcome again to the Fidelity breakfast. Thank you for the Fidelity Bank for sponsoring this breakfast. They've done it for several years, and they've been a big supporter of this event. And without their support, we could not have this breakfast. So thank you, Fidelity. And also thank you to Melissa and Michaela's still outside? Yeah, we're very fortunate to have two great staff people work here at the Chamber. I don't know how two people get all this work done, but they do. And Melissa is very respected in the circles of the Chamber business, and that's very important because she's able to get other resources from other chambers, other ideas, and she does a great job. So thank you, Melissa. On this sheet, Melissa handed this because you got to make sure you mention our sponsors. But I don't look at them as sponsors. I look at them as more of investors in this organization. I think a sponsorship, sometimes you give the money and you don't look for anything in return. But it's our job here at the Chamber, when you invest this money, to give you a product in return. And I think we do a good job at that. Our premier sponsor has been our sponsor for over 15 years now when this chamber started, North Middlesex Savings Bank. Is there any reps from North Middlesex Savings here? Okay. I'm not sure if the bank's open today, but that's why the ATM machine's out front. Also, we have platinum sponsor, the Neshoba Valley Medical Center. We have also the Catalano Companies is here today. Steve and a few of his folks. Can you raise your hand? Okay, thank you very much. Our gold sponsors are the law offices of Tom Gibbons, Jarvis Ford. I think Steve's here today. Where's Steve? Thank you, Steve. Bristol Myers Squibb, the Levis Group, which is Phoenix Park, which is also another place that does a great job, run by Joanne Smith. Wilson's Brother, and then our community sponsors are Willstone Bank and Trust, Littleton Electric Light, ISS, which is Image Software Services. I think that's Jeff Schwartz. Is Jeff here? Good. Okay, thank you, Jeff. The Markham Group, Kimball Farms, Cyprian Keys Golf Club, Health Alliance Hospital, Dunning Company, and Clinton Savings Bank. So thank you to all of those investors. At this time, I'd like to introduce Paul Richards. Paul Richards works for Fidelity, and he can kick off this breakfast this morning. Thank you. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you very much. Jim just introduced me as an employee of Fidelity Bank. Actually, I'm the executive director of the SHINE initiative, for those of you who are not familiar with it. Several years ago, the employees of Fidelity Bank inspired the creation of the SHINE initiative, decided that they wished to devote the bulk of their charitable giving to a largely unmet need in the community, and they determined that mental health should be it, and it's been fine-tuned now so that we focus on child and adolescent mental health. Not only here in North Central Massachusetts, but we're growing throughout all of Central Mass, and hopefully someday our goal is to become the Jimmy Fund of children's mental health. So a long way to go, but a very lofty goal. At Fidelity Bank, the motto is helping you get where you want to be, and certainly mass development has helped a lot of folks in this community get where they wish to be, and will be bringing more to that point of where they want to be. So it's a great opportunity to, in a moment, introduce George Ramirez. I just have to say, Jim, you stole my thunder a little bit. Yes, there is no casting call after this. I know that everybody is here with a number and waiting. I will tell you though, George and the folks from the studio, Chris and Mike, my son had a walk-on on 24 with those folks several years ago. He was on for 3 seconds. He's a former Marine. He's 6'3". I know you look at me and say that's impossible. Some things work out. But 6'3", sculpted like a Marine. He was a Marine, and he had a walk-on 24 where he played the bodyguard of then-President David Palmer. And we watched intently, and as the President walked down the hall, we all said, gee, that was Matt's hip. That's all but that was his 3 seconds of fame, and I think he got paid $50 for it as well. But in any event, let me get on to why we are here this morning. And it's timely, Melissa, you planned this well, because it's the holidays, the Halloween season. Fidelity flyers are on your table announcing their pumpkin patch poster contest, painting contest. You have Mike Myers here, no less. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Halloween movie series, Mike Myers with the Central Park. On to the introduction of George, and I wrote this in big type in case I forgot my glasses, but as Executive Vice President of Devon's Operations, and George, many people are familiar with you already, but George oversees the continued redevelopment of the former military base into an economic engine for Central Massachusetts. He brings nearly 2 decades of expertise and experience to Mass Development, working most recently as Deputy Director and General Counsel of the Mass Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development, where he oversaw a staff of 80 employees, managed 6 agencies at one time. George, that's amazing. He also has chaired the Economic Assistance Coordinating Council, served as a member of the Emerging Technology Fund Advisory Committee, coordinated the Governor's Development Cabinet. In addition to his service as a member of the Lowell City Council, he has also run a private law practice. He's a resident of Lowell, holds a BA from UMass Lowell, Juris Doctorate from Suffolk Law University, and is a member of that school's Board of Trustees. It is with great pleasure that I introduce George Ramirez.
Good morning, everyone. That's quite an introduction for a 2-minute speech, but I thank you. So I've been working with Melissa for the best part of the last 2.5 years. When I got here, I looked around, and one of the things that we used to think about back at the Executive Office of Economic Development for the state was the businesses here were always wondering, you know, why don't we have a seat at the table for mass development to develop Devens? And so when I got here, I said to Melissa, I'm going to create this business kitchen cabinet. And we started meeting monthly, and we were growing a little bit, and we had about 15 to 20 businesses, and everybody was collaborating, trading their stories, trying to figure out how they could each help each other. And then after about a year of that, Melissa came up with the idea of possibility of segueing it into the chamber. So we've now plugged into the chamber sort of a Devens kitchen cabinet. It's really worked well, and I want to thank the chamber and Melissa for being great partners to Mass Development. You do a great job. I want to thank you for having me here this morning. I'm sort of the food taster for the lights, camera, and action gang that's here. But I thought I would just sneak in a couple of words about Devens. Our recreation department is really growing by leaps and bounds. We have folks from all over New England coming to Devens on every weekend. It's not unusual to have 10,000 folks come through here on a weekend. We are on Twitter, we are on Facebook. We're really kind of getting up to the 21st century. On the business side, you'll be happy to know that the old Evergreen Solar building, or the building that we don't name after they left, at 112 Barnum Road, we recently just found a tenant. Some of you may have heard of a company called St. Gobain. They are renting 225,000 square feet, and they are going to improve that property by $31 million. And they are looking to hire 90 new people. So we are pretty excited about that. We're also excited about the fact that the zero net energy homes that were being built off Adams Circle are all sold now, and that's kind of nice to see. We've got to get more green technology here at Devens. Those are just sort of just a snapshot of what we're doing every day. We are working with Bristol Myers Squibb on a regular basis. They're looking at possible improvements. So we're lucky that we are doing well in this economy, and we're lucky that folks like MJM Development and his group are looked at Devens. We are excited about the prospects of hosting the very first, studio in New England. That we've been working so hard, and many of you probably read for a couple of years what was going to happen down in Plymouth. The folks down there went down there and they bought land and they built golf courses and they bought condos and all of this stuff, and then the lights never came on. And then these guys here said, we're not going to do that. We are going to be very practical. We're going to be business oriented, And so we're excited. I won't steal their thunder, but they are a delightful group to deal with. They've been going in earnest. The construction is really on time. So without any further ado, I know you guys came here to hear from Mike. Mike Myers of MJM. Come on up and say a few words. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'd like to begin just by thanking Jim and Melissa, and Kayla, and Paul for your very kind words and your warm reception for putting this event together. We're very, very pleased to be your neighbors and colleagues as we embark upon this project. So, we closed on our land deal on June 22nd. We had our groundbreaking on June 26th. We started loading the site with our subcontractors and tree cutters on June 27th, and here we are, almost the 1st of November. We have a big project underway, and I'm delighted that Melissa extended an invitation to the team. If you'd like to come on down and walk up our hill, you brought your boots and sneakers, we'd be more than pleased to show you a little speck of what we're doing out there. So today we're about 40 guys on site, moving ahead with the project. We poured all of our footings and foundations and getting things ready for our actual walls that we propose to build for the sound stages. The sound stage is a large, like, concrete bunker, 65 feet tall at the top of the building, and they're 18,000 square feet apiece. We line up 4 in a row in conjunction with a 30,000 square foot office space. And at peak construction periods, we'll be up around 175 guys out there on a day-to-day basis. So we're delighted to continue to move the project along. This is an exciting endeavor. We've been at this for about 2.5 years now. George Ramirez was absolutely instrumental in bringing us to Devens. We looked at a variety of places around the Commonwealth, from Lowell to Tewksbury to up and down the 495 corridor. George and his team just really extended a warm invitation and helped us put together this deal on our little parcel, our little hill down on what we call Lot 13 off Erie. Hi, Chelsea. Chelsea was great. She helped us put together all sorts of different components as well. So I'm delighted to see you. So what I can do is invite everybody, if you have the chance, as Melissa conveyed, to come join us. We'll be pleased to give you an update as to where we're going. And oh, we have a little video, I guess. Melissa passed.
Not sure how, I think that's into the sound though.
Hi guys, it's Mike. October 8th, we're in the middle of a concrete pour. We've been on site for the past 3 months. A month ago we had approximately 15 guys on site. Today that number is doubled. We will very quickly ramp that up again. Probably have 70, 75 guys on site by the end of the month. Behind me you can see pouring concrete for footings for the commercial office building and attached stages. We'll have a 300-foot pour today, in addition to the 500 linear feet that we poured over the last week. We're about halfway through this project. We have 6,000 cubic yards of concrete in the job between our footings and walls and slabs. That's 24 million pounds of concrete, the equivalent of paving a sidewalk the entire length of the Boston Marathon. We just made that up. So we're finishing up this afternoon. This is the last of our concrete pour for the day. So come back and join us in a few weeks when we'll be moving ahead with the historic project, raising walls. We'll have the crane on site, and we'll be cooking. So thanks again. Take care. Melissa, thank you. You didn't even need me.
Of course he needed you.
So what I'd like to do is to introduce my colleague, the gentleman who really started this whole focus, looking at the film industry, his knowledge of the industry, looking at the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, how important the film tax credit was to our sustained viability of this emerging industry. And he brought the dream, he brought the vision to here. We assembled a team, and there's no further ado than let me introduce my friend and dear colleague, Chris Byers.
everyone. Nice turnout. Nice looking group of people. Except for our team. So about 6 years ago, I came back to Massachusetts. I'm from Lowell, Massachusetts originally. I was born and raised there. And moved out to California at a young age and started working in the film industry. I came back here, and what we were going to do, we were scouting for a film that we were going to bring to Massachusetts. And during my time here, I noticed how much filming was going on in the Commonwealth. It was very impressive. And as my stay lengthened, I got deeper into the guts of the community, the film community. And it was pretty extensive. As you go on locations, usually there's not a lot of infrastructure for the film business because it's mainly based out in California. But Massachusetts had a pretty deep base as far as the film industry goes. So I had conversations with a lot of the local businesses, and we talked a lot about how the business has really started booming since the tax credit was initiated. And there was another project going on to help fulfill infrastructure needs. It was on the other side of Boston. And as we talked about this, I sort of took a deeper look into what they were proposing, and it just didn't make sense to me. It was a very large project, and economically it didn't seem feasible to me. So the group that I was with concurred, and push came to shove. After a lot of conversation, they looked at me and go, "Well, why don't you build stages?" And I don't build stages, so this was just sort of a errant talk at the time, but as time went on, I really sat and thought about it, and I said, this is an incredible opportunity back home, where I really wanted to be anyways. I'd sort of been figuring how I could get back home with this business, which didn't make any sense until now. And through a lot of really just footwork and due diligence, put together a business plan and performed the best I could. That's not my forte, as Michael attests to. And as the footwork started, I started assembling just somewhat old contacts, and most of them from Lowell. So we got, as a matter of fact, it was Jack Sullivan, architect from Lowell, and a gentleman named Will Susi. And we started just looking at possibilities land-wise in Lowell. And after we got a good idea and we exchanged information, we educated each other. I helped them with the film industry and their needs, and they helped me with how things get built and other things to the construction side. When we got to a point where we felt comfortable, we went after investors, and very fortunately found a group that was interested in hearing about the project. So after about 18 to 20 months of hearing about the project, we finally got to the point where we decided that we were going to move ahead. At this point, we were in Lowell. So we nailed down a couple of different potential properties, and just as we were starting to dig on one property, and I don't mean dig physically, but we were digging down into getting like core samples and things to that nature, we went in and we were talking with the investors, and they said, "We get it. We understand this project now." And a 57-mile-an-hour curveball started coming, and they said, "Well, we figure that the way that you're going about this isn't the right way. We're going to expand this out. We want this to be a calling card for Massachusetts. We want a world-class facility." So the small idea that I came with has now expanded into what whoever's going to go over to the property, you'll see a piece of what this project has become. So at that point, the Lowell land did not fulfill the needs of the project. Jack Sullivan said, you know, I have a friend, he's from Lowell, and he's out at Devens, which would be George Ramirez. And we went out and we started talking to George, Mike, Jack, and myself, and we started progressing talks and learning about Devens and learning about land, and you know, it just became the perfect opportunity. It was a fit made in heaven. Infrastructure here, the land here, and the potential for expansion. It was just everything that we could have wanted for the expanded version of this. So at that point, we really dug down and started our process, what, about 2 years ago? Yeah, about 2 years ago, talking with Mass Development and George and the Devens Commission, and it was a lot of effort on everybody's part, because this project, it's not a common project. It's very out of the ordinary, especially back east. So with everybody's help, we now have studios being built here in Devens, with hopefully completion in the middle of the summer of 2013. That's the story. And we're very happy that we made the choice to come up here to Devens. Thank you.
If people have questions, will you guys
Absolutely.
answer questions? All right, excellent. Are there any questions? I'm sure there are questions in the room.
There is no casting call today.
When do you foresee, you said end of 2013 is when you'll be done roughly building?
The summer, the
summer.
middle to the end of the summer of 2013.
So will you be attracting movies that are already being done out in California? Is that how that works? Is you'll be taking some of that business and bringing it here?
There's always that potential. I mean, there's a wide array of possibilities for film, and usually what happens is during pre-production, they're going to make the decision on where they're going to go shoot, and there could be many different factors involved. If you have a Western, you're not going to come to Massachusetts to film. You're going to go out to Santa Fe, you know, shoot somewhere in New Mexico. But a lot of your everyday scripts, which you could shoot in many different locations, or you could even switch the script to the location you're going to shoot at, they are now looking towards Massachusetts. So the one issue that they've had in Massachusetts is the infrastructure. You know, in Georgia, and in New York, and New Mexico, and Louisiana, they have stages, and they have a little deeper infrastructure base than we've had here in the past. The studios are going to allow the majors and the independent producers to make the decision based on now that they have a home to come and land here. So I hope that answered your question.
How many sound stages will you be building?
The first design, Mike, why don't you
I'm sorry,
tell us
I missed the
how many sound stages are we starting?
Oh, great. I apologize. We sometimes get so into the weeds that we forget to update everybody. This is, and Melissa's being kind enough to pull this up. This is a slide of our full build-out master plan. And there is, Melissa, this is the whole parcel. This is, so just so you're familiar with everything, this is Jackson Road coming up from Route 2. Here's Givry Road across from Sherman Square. You come down Givry, past the detention ponds, down to Hospital, and you bang a left and come up the hill. This is phase 1, which is under construction now. Phase 1 is 4 18,000 square foot sound stages with contiguous walls, so you can open up the whole thing to have 72,000 square feet or do them individually. There's a 30,000 square foot connected executive office building for hair and makeup and production support, post-production, and all the services necessary to support a client coming in for either one or all 4 stages, and a 20,000 square foot mill, which is carpentry, welding, shops, grip and lighting, and things of that magnitude. So in total, The first phase is 126,000 square feet. If that phase is as successful as our business plan calls for and as demand warrants, we would quickly then move towards phase 2 and start working our way from the back of Hospital Road in Givry towards Jackson, ultimately with 2 45,000 square foot office buildings, 4 additional stages, a commissary, a screening room, and really make it a 28-acre campus. There is added capacity that we have in our negotiations with Mass Development to further use additional lands that we have under option for continued expansion and doing off-lot locations and building of streetscapes and things of that magnitude. So that's kind of the big picture. Did I adequately answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. What else can we do?
Is there any thought been given to collaborating perhaps with the universities, colleges throughout Massachusetts, with any potential filmmaker students who are interested in furthering careers?
Absolutely. The schools, I think, are critical actually to the success of the industry here, because what the schools are going to do is they're the ones who are going to feed the work base. So we're in conversations with a lot of the schools, local and a couple outside the state. And one of the potential possibilities, I mean, these are just all potentials, it's all based on the success of the studio, of course, is that we would consider a film school as a part of the campus, not this campus, but one of the other lots that we have under agreement. Absolutely.
So I was a little confused at first. You're not actually initiating any films. You're providing the space for folks to come in and do their filming. Is that right?
That's correct. It's absolutely correct.
Who do you see as the source of your production primarily? Film, television, commercial?
Well, that's a good question. The films are here. So we obviously, we have a catalyst with films already. One of our goals is to bring television series here, which I think is already ramping up. And when I go out and meet with the studios, it's the television part of the studios are always very interested, because that's the way that they can come and land in a state. They have to have stages. So now that they know stages are in Massachusetts, I think we're going to see a lot more pilot shot here, and the pilots are what lead to the series. So I think we have 3 pilots that have either shot or are getting ready for, they're in pre-production right now. And from what I understand, and it's only speculation at this point, that there's 4 more pilots that have potentially changed direction and are going to come to Massachusetts to film.
How many studio films or major independent films are made in Massachusetts in a year?
Well, it varies. I mean, year to year, it's varied. And to help answer that question, I think, is the studios, I think, will give the landscape of Massachusetts a better consistency than having 14 one year and 32 the next year. I think you'll see a much more consistent film base in Massachusetts once we're completing the stages.
2 questions. Are the numbers that high, 14, that they're shooting parts of 14 movies in the state right now on a low level?
It's not right now, it's over the course of the year.
Yeah.
And it's usually not parts of the movie. They usually come and film the whole production here. I mean, there are movies that come and they'll drop a certain amount of the film, but for the most part, they land the whole film here.
So that's averaging more than 1 a month.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, that's good. The second question is, once you open to the studios, how many people will you guys be hiring? Will you have hiring needs?
The studio will hire somewhere between 20 and 30 people. The real job growth is when the productions come in, and you're giving a constant work base to anywhere from 300 to 500 employees in the film industry. And so instead of a film coming in and shooting for 30 days, and maybe hiring, portions of the production crew for another 15 to 20 days. You'll have a work base that has a consistent potential over at the studio.
And if I may follow up, pardon me, that's an interesting question and an interesting concept, particularly for the community. There have been all sorts of econometric studies that have pinpointed the job multiplier impact from work that goes on at a studio. So all the ancillary jobs, which equate to almost twice that number, with lumber yards and caterer companies and restaurants and flowers and Home Depot and all the different components that are used on the site on a day-to-day basis, has a tremendous impact on your businesses and your day-to-day activities. This is a huge dynamo of economic activity. That's really what a studio is. We provide the infrastructure for the filming. The Commonwealth has provided the tax incentives and the economic advantages to bring the film industry to Massachusetts. Back in 2007, when this was first enacted, Massachusetts did about $58 million a year in the film industry. That number now is up over $300 to $400 million a year, particularly this particular year. We're going to be, since the enactment of that legislation, we're going to be pushing $1.3 billion of economic activity here in the Commonwealth in this industry alone. We now have the infrastructure in place to continue to promote that industry and to promote that growth and sustain that growth, which means more business for everybody in this room affiliated with what you do. So that's the win-win that we've tried to assemble here.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Gentlemen.
Things like special effects and technology that seems to be a greater and greater part of films. Will you be doing that in this location as well?
Yeah.
Animation as far as
Animation?
animation and special effects and things that aren't real that you see.
Yeah. It's the whole industry. I'm really a figment of your imagination.
He's very good at that, too.
The one thing that actually is something we're working on right now is we're trying to bring a visual effects company to the site. You're absolutely 100% spot on, is the technology is really one of the things now that is driving the film industry. It is becoming more evident every day that you shoot. The technology has really taken over a good part of the industry. So as far as special effects and visual effects, yes, they will be doing those at the studio. I don't know if you're going to be seeing, like MacGyver explosions and things to that nature. That really has to do with permitting and things to that nature. So they really don't do explosions on the stage.
Is the chief in the room?
Thank God. But yeah, as far as trying to have a visual effects company and everything that follows the visual effects, yes, we are definitely, that is part of the plan. Animation, I'm not sure. That's a whole nother ball of wax. Not something that really needs a studio. They just need space. So I don't think the studio is probably a great fit for the animation, but it is for everybody else.
It was mentioned earlier that you're going to be hiring a lot more construction people. A lot of construction folks out of work in the state. How will they have access to employment there?
So what we've done is, back last March, we put out an RFP to 8 different contractors across the Commonwealth, and we then extended that to probably 40 different subcontractors, so 40 times 8, so there was 470 different firms who were able to bid on the job. And we selected a general contractor in a joint venture named Hutter Sepala. They then employ all the various subcontractors across the Commonwealth and suppliers and material suppliers and labor forces. So that is all on a bid basis, open shop bid basis, and that process has been going on for some time. It's being finalized as we speak.
Thank you.
Just going back to the growth of what you're going to bring to us as small business owners, you are a resource to the movie industry. Will you be a conduit for us to be able to also be a resource as small business owners? So basically, how do we get to your movie folks? Once they're here, are you going to allow us to, to be a resource for you as a community?
Absolutely, and you can start right here, because what happens is we'll have stage managers, and the companies that come in, they'll have a designated stage manager. That stage manager is a conduit to every one of you. You will meet them, and they'll understand what your business is, and what happens is the productions will come in, and I don't know which particular business, but let's just say you're a cleaner for clothing. All of a sudden, at 10 o'clock at night, we'll have a relationship with the local cleaner, and we'll have to call them up at 11 or 12 o'clock and say, you know what, we have 200 shirts that we need cleaned by tomorrow morning, and they'll connect the production with the cleaner, and that's how that's going to, it's a very simple process, but the stage manager will be out, and they will start learning who the community is, and what they do, and that's really the conduit to the community.
So we'll be welcome to maybe come in and meet with your stage manager so that you can introduce them to the community so they don't have to kind of struggle to go find us?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah,
I hear a party coming on. We'll all be invited.
It's at your house, right? Yes.
You had mentioned earlier that TV filming is ramping up and there's potential for pilots in Massachusetts.
Yep.
Have you secured anything for the end of 2013?
We have 2 letters of intent from 2 different studios for our opening. One's in first position, one's in second position. In our industry, this is somewhat unheard of. We're 9 months away from opening our doors, 10 months away actually, right? 10 months away. The film industry predominantly will come to a studio maybe 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks prior to them shooting. It just depends on how much pre-production time they need. And you are really one of the last sources that they are going to make a deal with. So to have holds on our stages right now shows the interest, not only in the stages, but in Massachusetts. Every production company I have talked to back in California loves filming in Massachusetts. So that is a wonderful.
Why?
You ever lived in California? You know what it is? A lot of it is the people, the history that you get to, be in the middle of while you're here, and the people who make the films. There's so much to shoot here. It's sort of virgin territory to shoot, and it can double for so many different possibilities. So it's a very versatile area to come and film in.
Massachusetts has really attractive production tax incentives right now. And I think Variety or Hollywood Reporter last week had a big article about your business, your type of business. And they pointed out that when the incentives go away, so does the production. Do you have a plan B?
Hunt. No, the reality is, and I think we did a pretty in-depth study on this, is that when the tax credits go away, there really has never been a tax credit that just went away. Usually what they'll do is they'll diminish them over time. But I think, honestly, the studio facility that we're building, it's going to have use and need for, and the studios are going to need what we have to offer, whether we have a tax credit or not. And they've actually expressed, even if there wasn't a tax credit, with what you guys are planning, we would still use you. But I think on top of that, I think once that these studios open, any kind of skepticism that's involved with the film industry, I think will go away. Because you're going to see a vital piece of land over there, and it is going to be thriving. And you're going to see hundreds of people working and creating things. And it won't be as foreign at that point, and I think it will really open a lot of people's eyes.
Just One more related question. Who do you consider the major competition for your business? Is it Canada? Is it?
No, I don't consider anybody competition. I really don't. We've gone over this a lot of times, and I think, you know, since there's studios in New York, I find that the more this industry spreads out, you got to remember something. 20-something years ago, in the 80s, we had 38 channels, and you were watching reruns back then, weren't you? We have over 600 channels now. How do you think that we are going to fill those channels with content? It's a lot of filming, and it's worldwide now. And we still can't fill these stations up. So I think there's enough work to go around everywhere, and I think every place has a different offering, and I think Massachusetts has the best offering. And that's, you know, I mean, I might be a little partial, but it's okay.
Hi, I wonder if you anticipate a need for live orchestral music or anything like that that might be.
You know, that's more on the production side.
Post-production?
Yes, yeah. When they do the soundtracks and the sound editing, that's when, you know, they hire the composer, and the composer hires the talent, to be honest with you. So we will never really have any need of, except when we have parties there. Every Friday night. So yeah, there may be an actual need, but it really depends on the composer for the project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wondering if you've explored prospects of collaboration with Avid, because that just seems like that could be a great blending in a local setting.
I've talked to Avid for about 5 years.
How's it going?
You know, it's a great company, but the only thing is it's not that we don't want Avid there, we absolutely. But Avid is more of the production.
Yeah.
So the productions are the ones who are going to utilize Avid. And we'll be a conduit, just like we will for the local businesses. We'll be a conduit, you know, we can push Avid because they're a local company and a great company.
You talked a little bit about the ancillary support jobs that will be coming out of the community, which I think is fantastic. What about New England Studios specifically? Will you be hiring, and are you looking for just technical skills, business skills, and are you looking at full-time, part-time, or do you already have a team assembled that you plan to put into the business building?
Well, there's a little bit of everything involved, almost everything you said. There's certain jobs that we're probably going to pull from out of state because they're very, very specific, and it's an experience-based job. As far as, I think that there'll be a certain number of jobs that will be in the studio that we will hire locally, and we will start that after the new year. We'll start looking at people and looking at tenants who we're hoping to have out there. But it's really a mix. And the other thing that we're really waiting to see is the development of the studio. It's sort of a living, breathing animal at this point. So as that progresses, you know, more jobs will come, and we will look in our community first. This is a Massachusetts-based project, and we would like to keep it that way as much as possible.
A quick follow-up.
Sure.
If you are looking for special effects, the Army Reserve still has a unit on base, and I believe they have a bombing area.
I'm going to go up there right now.
Where's the next closest studio?
In New York. Steiner Studios in New York. That's the closest. Yeah. And as I said, I don't find them competition. I mean, films are going to film in New York, films are going to film in Massachusetts.
Are these other studios full at capacity?
Yes. Yeah.
Steiner, my memory is that they had 6 or 8 studios, and in September of last year, they commenced construction on an additional 12. So it's been a huge growth period. But the key states are, right now, Louisiana does a lot of filming, Georgia, New York, Santa Fe, New Mexico, and of course California, with over 300 studios. In a state which greatly diminished their film tax credit, but still stays as a very viable entity in the industry throughout the state of California.
As a matter of fact, I was just out in California, and the studios were all filled to capacity, which, you know, was sort of a little bit of a surprise. But television season is very strong out in California.
Are you looking for investors?
Thank God, no.
Maybe.
What do you got going?
Yeah. We'll talk later.
Maybe.
Remember the producers.
Yes, that's right.
So are we going to stand that you're fully functioning after phase 1? And the rest is expansion?
That's correct.
Absolutely correct.
So Melissa, thank you, Jim. Oh, I'm sorry.
When you talk about filming in Massachusetts, you're talking also filming all over New England, I mean, the production companies.
Not New England, this is strictly Massachusetts.
Strictly Massachusetts.
That's correct. We're homers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
I brought 3, but there are 4 gentlemen here. I owe one of you a lovely chair, fold-up chair, courtesy of the Neshoba Valley Chamber.
Oh,
so maybe you can put it in the studio and, like, you know, we'll do photos. Yes. So thank you both very much for coming out and joining us today. We are going to do a tour of, if anybody's interested in doing the tour of the site, we'll all meet out in the front foyer. Very special thanks to Fidelity Bank for sponsoring this breakfast for the 11th year. Again, Fidelity has a Halloween costume contest going on right now, so please check out the flyers on your tables. It's a great fun thing for the children in the area. We have some great events coming up at the Chamber. We have on Friday, November 2nd, we have our mega networking breakfast. That's going to be at the Holiday Inn in Fitchburg. So please check that out. It's going to be a mega breakfast, mega networking with 2 other chambers, Gardner and North Central. So that would be an opportunity for you to network outside of our large region. On November 7th, we have our 15th annual Community Service and Leadership Awards. And I see Sue's. No eye contact, do not make eye contact. We have a recipient here today with us. This is nothing, just wait until November 7th. So on the back of the little programs, we have lots of events coming up. So hopefully we will see you again very soon. And thank you again to the gentlemen for coming out this morning, and have a great day. Thank you.
So what this is our site is 15 acres, and it was off to the south is where the wildlife Fish and Game Center is, and that was a big, huge hill. And you'll see that what we did is we moved 110,000 cubic yards of earth, which is just a ton of dirt, to level off the site to create a big building pad. And now that pad is all set, and we're starting to do our footings and all our concrete work. So let me grab these guys. There's probably 40, 50 guys up here now, so we'll just stay out of the way, walk up along the left, and peer across, and you can see what's going on. Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll be right back, guys. Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk to us to have a community.
So this is 6,000 what they call cubic yards, and when we do a video update, as you saw from Melissa, so you try to what is 6,000 cubic yards mean? So we just decided to make it fun.
Yeah.
So this was originally the grade was at that level down there, and what we did is we had to kind of balance the whole site. So as you come up, you'll see we make a big plateau, but we move. Another interesting factoid: 110,000 cubic yards of dirt. That's what that is. Always a how do I explain that? So that's if you covered Route 9 from Framingham to Natick, 7 miles and a foot of dirt, that's how much we moved. So there's a lot going on up here. So what happens, guys, is we'll stay to the left. There's a big concrete pour going on today, and everybody's just on a quick coffee break right now, but these trucks will roll up and down the road here. So this is our first phase, 15 acres. The building, we'll walk down, but the building, excuse me, sits and flanks the balance of the project, excuse me, the build out, which is out here towards Fort Devens. But so we have 4 contiguous sound stages built through here. And the way you build the building, so it's this is the big footprint of the building. Pardon me. What we do is we pour a big concrete slab all the way around the building on the outside. And then we build panels, walls, and you'll see in a moment. So the walls are all built, they're 52 feet high, 20 feet wide, 10.5 inches of thick concrete and rebar, which gives you your massing, which is necessary for your sound insulation. And then we come in the middle of November with a huge crane, a crane that is 450 tons, it'll be 200 feet high, and it takes 28 trucks to deliver the crane. You hire a crane to build the big crane. And then what we do is the crane comes in after all the panels have been poured and then tilts up all the panels. And then we tie them all in, but that gives you the massing and the sound insulation that's necessary to be in this industry. So that's kind of what we'll walk around. These are the slabs that we're pouring now in order to build the panels. And if we walk down a little bit, you'll be able to see the actual panels that are. How deep are the slabs? The slabs are, the slab is 3 inches thick all the way around the outside of the building. And then each panel is 140,000 pounds. Right now, the guys on site, from site work contractors to the guys doing the concrete, and you can see these are the panels that are being built prior to us putting in the rebar. So just so you get an idea of how big the building is, it runs from that white Bronco down there, that's the far end of the building, and the concrete truck. So it's 480 feet long, 150 feet deep. And then we'll have a mill building that'll go in the back. You can see where we had to cut the site. The original grade was way up there. So we've been out since, as I said, the end of June. That's kind of, it's fun. It's a blast being out here every day. It's really fun. So we'll let the fellas continue with their work, but it's just a quick visit if that's okay. Stay out of their way.